Escape from Tarkov is not a game for everyone. It's a hardcore shooter where you lose all of your items when you die, except for a select few. You also have to heal each time you die, unless you want to go into your next raid half dead, like a walking corpse. All of these things I'll mention later, but what makes the game very special and different from every other shooter on the market? What is Tarkov, though? What makes it fun? Tarkov is a match-based shooter where there's no tutorial, meaning good luck figuring out where you have to go, unless you use an online map or an in-game map, which you don't start with an in-game map. A good online map is Map Shady. If you use offline mode, you don't lose your loot, and it's great for learning the maps, PvP, and guns. Besides all of that, your whole objective is to leave the map and get loot, complete quests, but the most important thing is not to die. So be careful of walking around woods because you may blow up. How you leave the map is the extractions, which vary depending on where you spawn, and some extractions are consistent. Some have requirements, for example, having a ruble amount to pay a black van to get you out of the map. Some you may have to activate a switch, and others you may have to wait an armored train to come, etc., etc. Making all maps having different extractions or unique ways to get out is what keeps it interesting. So basically, loot and then leave. But keep in mind, if you leave too fast, whether it be because you ran to extract or got a lot of loot, you'll have to either kill someone or wait for a while unless you want to get the run-through status, which make items not found in raid. And anytime you die, you lose your loot, which makes every fight scary and suspenseful. Fights may end up with one bullet being fired or a proper full-out gunfight, making the PvP always different. You also have Voips, which after around 6 months is where the whole game resets for everyone and you have to start from the start, which is corresponded generally with an update that changes the game. And because of everyone losing everything, it creates a rat race where people try to grind back to where they were, or new people trying to learn the game, and it makes it fresh. What this creates is a very steep learning curve, which, as I talked about, means the game is not for everyone, but people who want to get dedicated to it, learn the maps, the PvP, and how to do quests and the such, it becomes very rewarding for them. It's a very fun and addicting game, and is one of the only games where I can get excited about condensed milk. The guns in Tarkov are just amazing. It seems like the devs have just really done their homework. Though I'm not a gun expert myself, the customizability on these bad boys are wild, and the modding menu can be daunting to look at, but it gets easier with time. And especially if you get a level 1 workshop in your hideout, it means you can look at the modding thing more in depth. The hideout is like your own little base that you upgrade and can craft stuff and get in-game bonuses or such. What this does is give you a truly neat and unique experience with all the guns, modding, guns you can pick. You can make a gun as kitted as you want, or make a glorified breech loader to run in a raid, if that's your cup of tea. However, we don't talk about curse atrocities. One time, I had a pistol and I didn't notice it didn't have a front or back sight on it, and aiming down it had the effectiveness of aiming down a brick. The animations and sounds in this game, whether it be jamming, reloading, or unchambering around, are just amazing. In Tarkov, items that are not found in raid are only able to be sold to traders, used in craft, or used in barters, and you can't sell them on the flea market and use those items in quests. So quick little note here, you actually don't have to find every single item in raid for every single quest. Like, for example, you have the gunsmith quest line and the really beginning quest. You actually don't have to find those shotguns, you just have to obtain them. So most of the time you have to find items in raid, but there are a few exceptions to this. What the traders do besides selling you stuff is they buy stuff off you. Be careful though, as some traders don't buy the items and some buy them for more. So sell to the person who pays the highest amount. The traders are also the ones who give you quests, which quests give you XP, reputation for said trader, and sometimes it takes away rep from other traders as the quest conflicts with them. They also give you physical money and rewards. What rep does is it contributes to loyalty level with a trader, which you need a certain amount of reputation, a certain amount of money spent, selling also counts toward this, and a level. So good luck risking your life for some guy that wants food and a dude who wants a letter. Loyalty level unlocks new items with traders and higher tier gear, depending on the level. The flea market is a player-driven market where people sell anything they can, as some items on the flea market have a restriction. It is also where most people make a big chunk of money, and everyone unlocks it at level 15. So you have to sell to traders before then. All of this makes it have an actual economy, which is very interesting, and you sometimes even have patterns in it. And it also makes it so you have to remember items that sold to traders for a higher price. So if you die within your secure container, which is where you keep your stuff when you die, and it has different sizes, you can sell it. Or you may play it safe because you need to save it for a quest, and if you die within your secure container, it won't be found in raid anymore, meaning you can't turn it in. making you choose a decision of should I PvP or extract soon. You also have to plan ahead and make sure you don't run through the map with good loot too fast or without PvP, as if you're too fast, it gets marked as a run through and everything in your inventory is not found in raid. What do I mean though by going to a match like a walking corpse? In Tarkov, you have health that persists from raid to raid, meaning if you don't heal for the next raid, if you died or survived but got shot, you will keep all your health debuffs you had, with the exception of a blacked out limb, which gets restored to its original health, but not healed. On the subject of healing though, the healing is something else as well. Alongside the fact it takes longer, there are different medkits, some that heal raw health, some that heal just light bleeding, or heavy bleeding too, but some also heal fractures. Of course, you also have your splints for fractures, bandages for light bleeding, S-marches and hemostats for heavy bleeding, but then you also have blacked out limbs, which of course, if you don't heal them, they have debuffs. Light bleeding makes you lose health across everything, so does heavy bleeding just more, and when a heavy bleed gets healed, there is a fresh wound which disappears in about 8 minutes. Opens up if you sprint or jump, so be careful. And fractures make you walk slower, jump worse, and run worse. If your arms are fractured, you reload your gun slower and take longer to search. In Tarkov, if you get shot in a specific place, you can get a blacked out limb, which you have to heal with a CMS or survival kit, which in essence is just a kit for surgery. Blacked out limbs lose their original full health upon surgery and gets effectively halved, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, and it depends on your skill and which surgical kit you're using. You can also get a blacked out head or thorax, but this can only happen from bleeding and you can't surgically heal it. And obviously, besides all these debuffs and things that can happen, you also just have your raw actual HP. Oh, and did I mention that you have to eat, or else your energy and stamina will go down and you will lose your health in a raid? This will only happen when your energy goes to 0. Or even that you have to drink water to not die from dehydration. This will also only happen when your thirst is 0. So be sure to prepare. This has caused me to forget a specific medical item and then be severely punished for it. Like for example, I forgot a splint and walked really slow for the rest of the raid when I broke my legs. Some are worse, like you may forget or already have used all of your bandages and slowly die to bleeding, meaning that preparing and bringing everything is necessary. And you also have to bring a proper amount of medical items. The detail put into this is just wonderful because of the healing animations, and what you have to do to upkeep your main character is just really in depth. There are also scavs in this game, which basically besides your main character, you have these scavs, which is also the AI faction in the game that you go up against. Anyway, you spawn in as a player when you have a loadout. A gun, vest, and backpack can vary by scav rep, or plainly by just what your scav spawns with. What scav rep is, though, is how you treat other scavs or other things that can be done, or you have done as a PMC that may contribute to it. What makes it higher is not killing scavs as a scav, taking the not at all suspicious van for a set amount of money as a PMC, or cooperation with a player's scav as a PMC to leave together for select extractions on select maps. Also, just extracting as a scav increases it. What the benefits for positive rep is having a higher chance to spawn with good items, more extractions, and less time to wait for your next scav. And that van is cheaper to take as a PMC. But what decreases it is mainly killing other scavs as a scav, and this decreases your extractions, loot, and at some point you'll maybe KOS, which is kill on sight by other scavs. One downside that can happen though is if a scav tries to kill you and misses all their shots, and you kill them, as far as I'm aware you get negative rep, unless they killed scavs before. Though, if they hit you once and you shoot them back, you should be fine. Also, scavs don't affect your main character, except for the after-mentioned scav rep, which may increase or decrease your price of before mentioned not at all suspicious van. But anytime you die as a scav, it doesn't impact your main character, and your actions only mainly impact your scav character, and what loot you may get out of there as a scav, which can be transferred to your main character after you extract. On the topic of scavs, they are an AI faction and have different kinds on different maps, alongside just having different factions of AI in general, like for example, raiders, rogues, and cultists. Scavs also spawn with different requirements and on other maps as well. There are also scav bosses that can spawn on different maps, which may have special loot, but they are harder to kill. This karma that exists for scavs makes it feel so I feel just more encouraged to interact with scavs. Some people may ignore it and just kill everyone, but there have been several situations where I talked to scavs and found items, or gave them items requests, and playing as a scav is a unique experience in itself, which I find interesting. and when you die, you feel like you lose less stuff as your scav spawn in with your gear. What's interesting though is that in Tarkov, you could have a neat little gun, but because you have bad ammo in it, a gun that seems less neat may outperform it. So you have to do research on ammo types. Alongside that, there are 3 different types of currencies, rubles being the main one, dollars and euros. You have to take into mind conversions. And also, all 3 of them follow their real life conversion rate. If you bring armor into raid, you also have to take into account the armor level and material, as material isn't just for show and can actually affect how many times you can repair something and how much durability it takes per repair and the effective durability. What effective durability is that armors in Tarkov have a multiplier per armor material that you have to divide by the in-game durability to get. For example, 6B13 assault armor multiplier 0.8 as it's ceramic, and in game the durability is 47. So 47 divided by 0.8 equals 58.75. You have to do actual math to figure out the actual armor amount. Keep in mind, this is a shooter game. On top of body armor, you also have helmets, glasses, and headphones. Helmets have the same durability, level, and math to go with it, except now they have new stats to look over, mainly ricochet chance. High being best, low being worst, and medium being somewhere in the middle and kinda okay. Headphones. There are different types of headphones and they genuinely improve how you hear. Some amplify everything, some footsteps, some this, so you'll genuinely find yourself doing research on headphones in a game. Alright, you also have glasses or goggles, and armored glasses. They give you a tactical advantage in terms of less flashbang debuff if someone chucks a flashbang to you, and some give off glares if it's just normal sunglasses, so you may be spotted easier outside. And as far as I'm aware, there is 1 armored pair of glasses that have a ricochet chance of medium. So you have to make sure your glasses don't reflect and make yourself easier to see in certain environments. Alongside all of this, you have to take into account the weight and movement penalties armors and things that you just carry in general have, alongside how much bullets it'll be able to protect you against. To sum it all up, you can have a gun with absolutely cracked attachments, but you buy ammo for like 50 rubles, and it has the effectiveness of a BB gun. Or more realistically, you may not be able to get ammo because you don't have a high enough trader level and have to resort to shooting the head or legs. You also may find yourself pulling up a calculator to figure out conversions and math to figure out the actual durability of armor, making this game feel like more of a special shooter than any other ones out there. And the research you find yourself doing along the way is just part of the experience, in my opinion. One neat thing about this game is that there's now Voip, meaning you can talk to other players and sometimes even cooperate, or if the person is nice enough, they can spare you if you beg for your life. It's also nice as player scavs to ask for items from other fellow scavs, and is a nice addition to the game, especially for extracts that take player scavs and normal PMCs on specific maps. Speaking of PMCs, at the beginning you have 2 factions, one that is named Bear and is Russian based, and one that is USEC and is American based. The difference is the USEC speaks English or have English only voice lines, start with different gear, more American related ones, and Bear voice lines are Russian and start with different gears, aka more Russian related gear. But whatever you pick, you still can speak any language you need over mentioned Voip. And also, the only noticeable difference so far is that Bear gets shot faster on Lighthouse, meaning that before you even start, you have a choice. Maybe minor, as I'm sure updates come out, and there will be more of an impact on which you pick. Alongside, I like when I occasionally negotiate my life and leave, because if Voip didn't exist in those moments, I probably and totally would have been dead, as I wouldn't have been able to communicate. Tarkov also has additions, which in itself are wild and can be expensive, ranging from 45 to 75 to 100 to 140 USD. But the good thing about this is if you buy a lower edition like the game, you have to only pay the difference and each provide different benefits, starting gear, more stash size that can be higher depending on the edition, more reputation with traders to start with, and secure container size, which is the thing where you put all your stuff in and you get to keep when you die. And the highest edition will provide you with any DLC when they come out. Granted, there are none yet, although you can upgrade your stash in your hideout, get rep from quests, and also get different secure containers in quests with different sizes, but higher editions make it less grindy to play. I like how you only have to pay the difference of an edition, meaning that the total cost of the edition you buy will be subtracted with the current one you have. So you could always start with the lowest and play it and see if you like it. And if it's your type of game, you can always upgrade later. Alright, well, if I go into everything about this game in depth, it'll probably take more than 5 hours, so I'll sum up some other important things. You have to prepare for raids before, as you have keys, food, water, ammo, and mags that you have to manage. Trust me, you don't want to walk around and slowly start to lose energy and drop dead because you didn't eat army crackers, and I have on several occasions forgot a key only to spawn near the location that you said key, although maps have food spawns, so you have to also watch out for that stuff when you're low in energy. Also, there are day and night cycles alongside the weather, so it can go in when it's dark, whether it be because you accidentally clicked it or because you actually meant it. It can happen, and you of course have NVGs if you want to go at night. You can also have stuff like rain and wind, which can heavily impact the game. Labs is a really scary map, and you have to have a lab keycard to go into it, which can be quite expensive, unless your scav spawns with one. So you have to take that cost into account alongside the fact a lot of people with heavy gear go there, and you can only go there as a PMC, and the keycard is single use. There's also a lot of lore that goes into this game, which is very interesting to read up on and look into. All of these unique things that vary clash into this very amazing shooter game that is very competitive and just very fun. You have to take several things into account to access maps, survive, or increase your chances of it, or just what you have to do in general for your character not to roll over and drop dead. The thing that's bad about all this is there's still a lot of issues with getting kicked out. I remember one time I ran a map, got disconnected in the middle of nowhere for server issues. Luckily, you can reconnect and it doesn't instantly kill you all the time. The load times also seem very high and can be sometimes, which for me isn't that much of an issue. But especially when you're trying to load back in, if you get disconnected, it can feel like ages. There's a bug I have where I can't move stuff. Well, I can, but it kind of just blinks and stays like that, causing me to have to reboot the game, which for me isn't that big of an issue. I also have an issue where when you remove an item off the flea market, it has a chance of bugging and not giving you your other offer slot back, and effectively you can't replace that offer. And I would assume they're working on both of these bugs alongside other bugs in general, and rebooting does seem to fix both of these issues. I also had an issue where in game I basically just got stuck in walls, but this one was just a one-time thing, and I even just got stuck in a forklift. I've also heard of issues of hackers in this game, which is obviously more of an issue than in other games, because if you die in this one, you lose all of your stuff except for a select few, but I'm not sure how often I run into hackers. All of this is a bit annoying and infuriating, but for me, I'm willing to take the fact that it's in beta, even if it has been in beta for a while, and that a unique experience makes it all up for me. So, for me personally, it's not that big of an issue. Alright, to sum it all up, this game is just purely amazing and a very unique experience. Punishing but rewarding. It really shows that the devs are putting a lot of effort into this, and it's awesome and very intriguing because of how complex it is, and the atmosphere in this game is just amazing. When you play this game, you learn new things a lot of the time. Learning the maps, guns, meds, scavs, and everything else in between is what makes this game. Even if the load times and disconnection issues are prevalent, I would suggest anyone to look into this game if it seems like something you would enjoy.